Hello, everyone. Many of you are already familiar with Libby Greiwe from the Efficient Advisor podcast. Libby is launching a intense program for advisors who are really looking to accelerate their practices, take things to the next level. And she has been gracious enough to offer a discount to members of the Good Advisors Finish First community. And
Yay.
Libby, I wanted you to talk a little bit about that program, what advisors should expect. If you can kind of give us a high level, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, well, I'll give you kind of the origin story behind it and sort of how it has evolved because this is our sixth round. So we have been through the process of refining and refining and refining. So back when I was running my practice and I went from working 80 hours a week down to 24 and still scaled the practice to a seven-figure firm working just a couple days a week with a super tiny staff, we started getting just an influx of questions from advisors all over the country saying, okay, well, how are you doing that? How are you working that? Like, what kind of systems do you have in place? So back in the day, my team and I actually would host a two day live workshop where advisors from all over would fly in and we'd train them in their teams on their systems. And the biggest part for me was that it was a lot to cram into 2 days. And then I had no method to like help with implementation. So when I sold my practice and we started offering a much different version of that, one of the big goals for me was to offer something that was taking these big, huge processes and systems that have been on every advisor's to do list for like 5 years and actually making them super teeny tiny weekly small projects that are super bite sized, super manageable, and then giving them the accountability and the ongoing kind of maintenance feedback to help actually get them through implementation. So the goal is for advisors to come into the program, connect with other like-minded entrepreneurial advisors, build out some of the biggest systems inside of their business, elevate the systems they already have, refine some of the processes that they have in place, and hopefully add lots of really new ways to automate, to delegate, to streamline, to do it better, faster, smarter, cheaper, and easier, all while getting a ton of support, coaching, samples, examples, feedback, all of the things.
Lots of advisors I've worked with over my career can use this, would need a program, but like you said, they put it off for 5 years or down the road.
Mhm.
So, what is the time commitment? What should somebody expect to put in to get the most out of the program, Libby?
Yeah, so the upside is we get a ton of stuff done. The downside is processes are not easy changes. They're not super simple. I have often advisors that will come to me for coaching and they're like, "Okay, in our 6 sessions, I want to do this," and it's like there's just no way. It's a lot and it's a lot of work. So I always want to give people the very clear like tough love that coming into it, it's going to require a couple hours a week of time and attention to do the calls, take in the content, go through the worksheets and actually like draft out your processes, get them implemented, work with your team or your staff to build out the templates, to copy the ones that we've given you, all of the things. So I suggest anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 hours a week for 10 months. Now, that sounds like a lot, and there are some big breaks in there. So, for the groups that start in August, we do take an entire month off around the holidays to A, enjoy the holidays, and B, to just give a little reprieve and catch up. And since it's a live program, we do get feedback from advisors along the way, as far as, hey, do we need a bye week? Do we need a week to get caught up? And advisors also work in small pods to connect with other advisors. We match you up with advisors who are similar in tenure structure, revenue, tool usage, et cetera. So you have a small group accountability alongside of it as well. So all of that together, anywhere from I'd say 1.5 to 2.5 hours a week.
Can you give us just a brief idea of what that looks like, the courses, the content, what that experience, those couple hours a week, what they're going to be spending those doing?
Yeah, so we follow our systems to scale framework, which is a framework that I've spent the last 20 years in this industry developing as sort of the foundational pieces to building out a highly efficient, highly referable, very experiential practice for your clients. And we start building a foundational layer and then we start to accumulate. So, um, advisors can expect a lot of content. So there's pre-recorded content, there's live content, we have office hours, you meet with your pods. It's a lot of time, but what advisors are going to do is they're going to start going through the curriculum. And it's a curriculum that we've spent the last 6 sessions really refining and making sure we're giving enough time and energy to the areas that need it most, and maybe shrinking or lessening time to areas that we can do a little bit more quickly as a group. And advisors can expect just to not stare at a blank piece of paper. So when we talk about how to build out your start to finish financial planning process and how to build standard operating procedures and how to start delegating training your team to take over parts of your process, you're going to get a lot of video content, languaging around how to do that, and a lot of actual like documents. So examples, samples, templates, workbooks, Excel docs. I mean, all the things that you would need to be able to efficiently move through and create something. So my biggest frustration as an advisor was when I would go to a conference or a regional meeting, and one of the speakers would share this like just awesome idea. And then I'd get back to my office and I'd be sitting at my desk and I'd stare at this blank piece of paper and be like, okay, I love that idea, but like how? And I would get stuck in the how. Like, I don't even know where to start with that. I'm not really sure what this even should look like. I'm a financial advisor. I've never created a standard operating procedure before. What does that even mean? So being able to give advisors all of the tools so that they really can step by step walk through it in the easiest way possible.
So who would this primarily be for then? What can you give me an idea of the type of advisor who get the most out of this that's going to be spending
Yeah.
those couple hours a week?
Absolutely. So I have a heart for those advisors that have been doing this business long enough that they know how to plan, right? They know who they are as an advisor. They know what they like to do, the type of planning they like to do, who they like to work with for the most part. And they're not necessarily worried about paying their mortgage anymore. What they're worried about is that all of the things that they prayed for have now actually come true in their business. And now they're overwhelmed. And they've hit that inflection point where they realize, like, I'm really good at what I do, and my team is really good at it too, but we're all just kind of winging it. And what we're doing isn't sustainable and it isn't scalable. So often it's advisors who like look like, that meme of a duck gliding across the water where everything looks really graceful and pretty. And underneath it's just a churning big old hot mess of like paperwork and things and NIGOs and stuff falling through the cracks. So it's really designed for advisors who hit that same place that I did. So when I found out I was pregnant with my first child, I remember just being like, I'm working 80 hours a week. There's no way I can do this and still be the mom, the wife, the daughter, the friend that I wanted to be. I've got to get this thing under control. And I've really got to actually step out of just that advisor role and really into that CEO role and start running this thing like an actual business so that I can take vacations, that I can work 3 days a week, so I can actually relax on the weekends and not worry that things were falling through the cracks and what balls were dropped by whom and just really getting your arms around it and getting control of your business so that you can run it instead of it running you.
Cost. How much does this lots of great information. This sounds
Yeah,
incredibly valuable. How much does this thing cost, Libby?
it is. Yeah, it is. And the feedback from it has been that it's game changing for businesses. So for a team, so whether you have one advisor or three advisors, whether you have one advisor and four staff people, it doesn't matter. For a team, it's $5,500 for the full 10 months, including all of the programming. And then for 18 to 24 months after we're done, so after that initial 10-month window, we still maintain the group as a mastermind. So you can continue to connect with the other advisors that you've grown relationships with, still continue to share resources. And as I update and continue to add parts to the program, so this year we've added some guest contributors, we're still giving that content and information to our previous advisors who've been through the program. So it's 10 months for $5,500, but there's so much extra that kind of happens beyond that.
Well, you mentioned a little bit about successes with the program. Can you give us an idea of some of the bigger success stories or some of the things that were where somebody was at that inflection point and was able to move to the next step?
Yeah, my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So when we reach back out to, so we do a lot of exit interviews. I'm kind of a data nerd, right? always wanting to like I'm like my own worst coach, right? Like you just want to build a process and be done, but I like to go back and refine it and and continue to really, really massage it to make it as impactful as possible for the smallest amount of time. Right. I was that kid in high school who's like, what's the least amount of work I need to do to get an A? Like, and that's still like where we're at. Like, how do we make it as impactful? How do we get A work for everybody with as minimal time and effort? So some of my favorite feedback is yeah that we definitely have advisors who have doubled or tripled their revenue and are working the exact same number of hours and like making more money working less. That's great. But my absolute favorite feedback is from the advisors who are like, I finally feel like it's organized. I finally feel like I can hire people and I have something to give them. I have a process for them to follow. We don't feel like we're walking into an office that's on fire every day and nobody knows what to prioritize and when. If we have turnover, I feel really confident that someone can kind of just scooch on into that role and really quickly get up to speed. I actually feel like I'm running a business now instead of just having a Libby that does all of the things or a John that just does all of the things. So the most rewarding feedback for me is the people who are like, hey, I'm working less. I'm spending more time with my family. I'm making more money. I feel very clear about what it is that I offer. It's making it easier for me to position with clients and making it easier for clients to come to us. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I actually run a business. And I that to me is the best part.
I would like to learn more about this. Where do I go? Where can I get more information? Learn more about the program. Where do I go to sign up, Libby?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna give you a special link that you can put somewhere to make sure that people get the GAF discount of 10%. So 500 off, woohoo! But you can go out to the
Which
efficient
makes we talked
advisor.
about this, which makes your GAF
Yeah,
membership free for a
cool.
year.
Yeah, which
So
is super cool. So you can go to theefficientadvisor.com and there's a little banner up at the top, or you can go to the coaching tab of our homepage and scroll down to the group coaching program. And there's just pages upon pages of additional information, nitty gritty details so that you can really feel really, really good about whether or not it's the right fit for you. We also offer discovery calls. So if an advisor's like, hey, here's what I'm struggling with, would this be the right fit for me? I'm happy to tell you if it's not, because I only want advisors in the program that are going to really, really benefit from all of the coaching and the content and all of the work that we do together, because it makes the group better, right? All ships will rise together. So you can go there for more information, or you can reach out and we can set up a discovery call, and I'd be happy to either point you in the right direction if it's not a great fit, or invite you into the program if it is.